Hi guys, in this video we're going to go over how to set up PythonKit in Xcode. PythonKit is a package for Python interoperability in Swift, and it will be useful if you want to use a package that is in Python in your Swift application. So to get started, obviously create a new Xcode project. Oops. Okay, and since PythonKit only supports Mac OS at the moment, since only Mac OS have a Python interpreter. We're gonna choose the Mac OS lifecycle and click next. And to name it, I'm gonna call it Python Inter uh, Interoperability Interoperability 1. Okay. And then we're going to use the Swift UI interface, and the lifecycle is going to be using the Swift UI app. And we won't be using core data or unit testing. So hit next and save it. Okay, full screen or not yet because we need to download or import the package. Okay, so first thing you want to do is go to GitHub. So you can use your web browser and then search up PythonKit, which is the package name, and it should be the first search result that comes up. So what you want to do is go to the URL and Command C, copy the URL, and to import this package, we're going to use the Swift Package Manager, and that would be, you would have to go to the top left and click on File, and under File, click on Swift Packages, and add a package dependency. Okay, once you're in, you're gonna want to paste the URL into the text field, and then hit next, and then we're gonna choose branch is gonna be master. So we're gonna inject this package into our application like so. Okay, once it's finished, click the finish button, and let's first go to the project setting to change some settings. All right, let's full screen it. Okay, first thing you want to do is go under targets, select our app, and then go under signing and capabilities, and delete app sandbox using this top right X button. So delete it. And under hardened runtime, we want to disable library validation, as PythonKit is a third-party package, and we don't want Xcode to check it. Okay, so just check that, and you're done. Okay, right now, we're gonna create a new Python file. So we can just go under here. Let me make sure the font is big enough. And then Command N or right click, and click on New File. And it's gonna be a Python file, and to do that we have to go under Other and then click the empty file, and then we're just gonna name it our Python script or whatever you want to name it. Okay, so click create, and once you're in, oh wait, one thing, you have to add a .py extension to the end to specify that it's a Python file, like so. Save it, and then this will be in Python syntax as it would have the Python extension. So over here we want to define a function, so that simply returns back a hello world. So we're going to create a hello world function and return back the string hello world. Okay, so just keep in mind that this is in Python. Okay, next thing you want to do is create another file and go under Swift file, and call this run Python script. I'm pretty bad at naming file names, so just bear with me. All right, create, and just want to make sure that everything runs smoothly. I should have done this earlier, but I want to make sure that everything runs smoothly before we move on. Okay, so now that we saw that build succeeded, we want to try and import PythonKit and see if it's there. Okay, make sure to select PythonKit and not Python. Okay, over here, we're going to create a function, a func run Python script. And this would be returning back a Python object. And if you don't know what a Python object is already, it states that it represents an object in Python and supports dynamic member lookup. There. Any member access like object foo will dynamically request the Python runtime for a member with the specified name in this object. So basically, Python object is Swift's way of saying all the types, all the Python types there is would be a Python object. So a Python object in Swift would be the Python version of integers or strings or other data types. Okay, so we're going to create a function. And first we want to get the path of our Python file. So it would be this guy. So to do that, we want to go and get the system and try and import sys, which is just system. That would let us access all the files in our Mac. Next up, we want to type in sys.path.append, which allows the system to find the path of our file. So to get the path, we want to drag this in here and then remove this part. And make sure to put it within the strings. Oops. Okay. And to actually grab the file, we want to say let file equals to python.import. And then to do so, we want to import our file name. So our Python script in quotations, of course. And one important thing to note is that while writing this line, make sure you're omitting the .py, because if you do, then the system will crash for some reason. So just remember to take that out. Okay. So now remember we have the function in our Python file called hello world. So right now we're going to try to get the function by saying that response equals to file dot hello world. So this is just basically saying we want to go inside the file and run the function hello world. And we want to return the response, which is of type Python object. All right. And you might as well just want to print it to make sure everything works. So print response. Okay. So now that is set up, we can now go into our content view and start getting the object in our actual application. So basically showing hello world on the screen. In Python, obviously. Okay. So we want to create a button that says that's an action block, and it would be called run Python script. Okay. And then in our action block, make sure to create a state variable. Okay, just keep in mind you should have a good idea or basic background of Swift UI, as the focus of the video won't be explaining the syntax rather than setting up this package. So just keep that in mind. Show result. So create an at state var show result would be type boolean and it would be false as of now. And to toggle the button, we want to do show result dot toggle. And also in our action block, this is the meat of our tutorial here. Just remember to get the run Python script. So we're going to type in run Python script to run our Python program, like so. Okay, and to show the result, if it's pressed, you could do if show result is true, then we would print out our result. Cast as a string, and this is probably not the best practice, but it works. You know, the string interpolation and cast it under a string. So we're gonna do that. Run Python script, and let's just try and run it. Let's see what happens. Let me see. Zoom out because we would have to get our application window here. All right, let's try and run it. Okay, as seen here, when I click the button, it should say hello world if you expand it large enough. And just to expand the window to our, I don't know, to the size that we want to specify the frame of the window. So create a VStack, and then just, I don't know, I like it to be very indented and uniformed. Okay, and over here we want to define the frame, width, and height. So the width would be, sorry, max width and max height. Yeah. So max width would be dot infinity. That means that the screen frame would go however large you want it to be. And for max height, you would put the same thing, infinity. Let's run it again. Oops, forgot a separator. And if you can see now, we can now expand the window. So now if you click the button, run Python script, it will now show hello world, which is running based on Python code and not Swift syntax. For some people, if you have a different path for Python, you would want to specify your Python path so that it could be directed to that environment. For example, I may be using Anaconda, and if I'm using Anaconda, it would be better to use that Anaconda environment since we don't recommend using the Python 2.7 that is provided as default by Apple. So if you want to specify the path, you would want to go and say dot on appear. You know, when the screen appears, we want to set the Python library. Hold on, I gotta import PythonKit first. PythonKit. So I want to access the Python library, and I want to use the library at your specified version. For my Anaconda, it's I think OP. Let me just get it. Copy and paste my path. Okay, so this will be my Python path for Anaconda, for the Anaconda environment. Okay, so this is basically it for this tutorial. I would have a part 2 that would go more in depth with the use cases of PythonKit. And I'll show you, for example, you want to import a pandas data frame into our Swift application. And I would show you in that video in part 2. Thank you, and make sure to like and subscribe. And I shall see you in part 2 of this short series.